RTC Craig, and today is a bit of a different video. Joining me on this video today is Barchy
Hello.
and Callum.
Hello, everyone.
Hello. So today we're going to be talking about Lost Region. This is a huge game. Lost Region is a fully open world that you can explore basically whatever way you want to. You can explore the world by yourself or with your friends, gather resources and build camps or bases. You can also craft, hunt, and run NPC missions. You can also have the occasional fight or proper on full-on wars with other players, arrange raids on their bases, or even capture their buildings to raise your influence in the world. The world covers approximately around 64 square kilometers, so that's around 39 square miles, with vast forests, big cities, and underground locations. The world population will react to your actions in this game. So if you injure NPCs, their attitude towards you will get worse, and vice versa. By assisting and completing missions of factions, you will increase your own authority in the world. So also your relationship with factions of the other players will be affected in many ways on the game. So, in my opinion, this game sounds fantastic because it is going to be having a console release. It's a big game. It's very similar to like H1Z1, like the zombie one, but without zombies, and then like DayZ and Arma and all that kind of stuff, and Rust especially, because that's a fantastic catalyst for this game. It just gives the same similarities to that. But I know this game was based on an iOS game called Bad Day or something like that. I can't remember the full name of it. So, guys, what do you think so far?
I'm going to be looking forward to just seeing how detailed the world actually is. If there's going to be barren wastelands where there's nothing at all, and then there's going to be parts of the forest where there's teeming with wildlife where you can hunt for your food, and then taking over buildings throughout the world as well. Creating your own bases.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited for the game because with PlayStation survival titles, there have been few and far between. Or if they have the byword survival, they're not really survival. So, like, my case in point for this one is probably all the high hopes everybody had for the Division, and look what happened to that.
Very true, very true. The Division wasn't a bad game, but it didn't live up to what it was like being shown at like E3 and stuff
No,
like that.
no, not at all, not at all.
Not at all. But the idea for this, like this kind of game, it is going to be released on PC first and whatnot, but it will be having a fourth-quarter release on Xbox One and PS4. But the idea of this game kind of hitting us finally, because there was always big talk about DayZ coming to PS4 and Xbox One, but they're still trying to finish DayZ before they actually do it. So like they're 99% putting all their resources in the PC release, and then 1% on the PlayStation or Xbox One release. I don't know if it's actually coming on the Xbox One. It might be a PS4 exclusive. I'm not too sure. If you know in the comment section below, please leave a message down there and correct me if I'm wrong. But my idea of this is that like architectural stuff and stuff like that is like my go-to. Like I love building. But in a game where it's very like linear building and you have a set amount of things, I kind of wonder what kind of build system are we going to have. Will it have like an outline of what you want, or can you custom build everything? So like the idea of the outline is that you build it bit by bit as we go along, and then put more resources into it, and then you slowly see like a construction site, and then it builds up into what you want. Or it's going to be built automatically if you have the right amount of resources, which I wouldn't mind too much, as long as I could do like a custom build thing. But if there's like the idea that it's not set in like an alt history kind of world, it's based in a real world kind of situation. So, i.e., like, say, we can build basic camps. So we have tents, and we have campfires, we have benches, and then we have like boxes full of our equipment, or jerry cans full of fuel, or something like that. Or if we learn how to build bigger, like we can build log cabins, or even like the idea of the world being set in the United States is that you can pick up some maybe military kind of building material. So like how you get a border checkpoint, like what are they called, Callum? The kind of fob bases that you have, like they have like sitting like those big
Hesco Bastions.
Hesco bastions, where you can actually build yourself like a small fortification where you can have like a front gate and then two of these like Hesco bastion. What's again? Sorry.
Bastion, Hesco Bastions.
They're like in between the road, and then you have a gate, and then you have like two firing ports to keep an eye on the road, and then a wall surrounding where you live. But the best thing about this is that not a lot of game developers do this properly, or they try to anyway. is the fact that you can enter every building in the world, and you can make any building in the world your home, which is amazing, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that's going to be depending on the skills you take as well, because they're saying, you know, you take the architect skills or the architect background, and you can build more than, you know, you say your soldier. Your soldier probably can't build anything. So you can have different teams, you know, within your base that can, you know, help each other out and things like that.
Hmm.
Yeah, when it comes to the base building, I'm liking the idea that you've got such a immersive world to work with, and it will match your place. How you build as well can match your play style. So, say if you're working in a large team of, say, 20 players with all of you having certain skills, you could build a large base for you guys with barracks, you know, and food preparation and wells, if you will, for water and resources. Or you could, you know, live out your survivalist fantasies and live under a tarpaulin in the woods.
Hmm. Given that with the whole idea of building, it's great. Like, I love this kind of idea, and it's not going to be set in like, you know, we had 7 Days to Die, which was kind of the Minecraft of like a zombie survival kind of game, but it did work well. A lot of buildings in that game were actually like, they looked like actual buildings instead of something you'd see in, like, let's say Fallout, where it's like a broken building that you can't really do anything with, so you build around it or try to repair it, but it doesn't just feel right, you know. But given that, like, there's a lot of choices, like you can move into a big city, or you can stay in the woods, or you can find an underground location. When we saw in the trailer was like a group of guys sitting under like a turnpike kind of tunnel, or an old sewage tunnel, with a fire underneath it, with their equipment and gear there, and the guy just walking up and saying hello to them or being a part of that group, just because it gives the idea that there's actually going to be like a lot of little hidden mini bases that you wouldn't check in the first place. So you might actually find a gold mine, or you might find a big hostile group of bandits, or, you know, let's call them the justice players, where they go out and try to make the world a nice place to live in, being like basically like the Arizona Rangers of the world, basically. But yeah, that's my opinion on that matter there.
Yeah, well, for going off, you know, say the supplies and resources, it's going to be interesting to see if there's certain monopolies you can create, you know, selling, say, oil and ammunition to other players, or just hoarding it for yourself, you know, refusing to dish it out to other people,
Hmm.
you know, just for your team, basically.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm liking the idea with, especially with the building stuff. Like I said, it's kind of environmentally diverse area. So, say you find a old military base, or even anything like a apartment block, you can build onto it, take it over, turn it into a fortress.
Hmm. But when it comes to building big fortresses, everyone's going to know where it is at one point, because it's going to be an iconic place where, like, it has the best loot, or it has like the most food, or it has the most like basic resources or building resources. You're going to need a very well-rounded team. But with the idea of this game is that you can hire NPCs online in a public server, or a private server, or even play offline with no actual players and just NPCs. I wonder what the kind of mechanics will happen there. I can understand that you hire NPCs to go on your journey with you, and they could, you know, join you in battles. Or can you leave them at home in base so you can actually have a proper team covering them? Kind of reminds me of Conan, where you like the whole enslavement kind of idea. Is that you capture a randomer in the middle of nowhere, drag him back to your base, and then give him a job to do, and then like he generally, his mood grows more and more happy towards that, and you can have like NPC guards defending your base while you're offline, and then there's actual players trying to get in. I just wonder how smart is the AI going to be about this? Will they like stay in one place and get shot to death, or will they actually use cover, or have a great like? Do you have to build their skills up with yours as well throughout the world?
Yeah, and going off that with the possibility of diplomacy, you know, you can either, you know, create alliances, certain task forces, things like that,
Hmm.
and
Yeah, so what I'm liking is the whole idea of how when you create these teams, you can work out your play style, so to speak.
All
So
right.
you can break down the teams as to who's doing what to enable like a group survival. So to be honest, like I know they always say gaming is all about creating a community, but effectively in this post-apocalyptic scenario, you are creating a community somewhere for people to live, eat, and drink. Try and get that immersion factor up in a survival game, because that's that's the whole reason most people play survival games is the immersion.
Yeah. Given with that on that point as well, a lot of people don't play for the immersion. They just play it because, well, they enjoy it and they kind of like just being the bad guy or the good guy with no real thought into their character. But that also means that, like, they have a way of playing as well. So they don't have to be like, oh, we're going to be like the best guys in the wasteland, or we're going to be the worst guys. We're just going to be survivors and enjoy ourselves, without actually having to like make a story for yourself. So generally, it's a very open world for you to do. You can play whatever way you want. With the idea for us, regarding us, how we do the immersive series, like, we do play like immersively with light, like voice procedure and whatnot, and not correct, but our own version of it anyway. It also builds up our system and how we work together. So, i.e., going off the having the different members of the team, like, given that will probably be about 5 of us playing this, I think that will be, well, will be very interesting as well. But like, imagine in this game, communication is key. So given the idea that we have to communicate with each other, how would we do that over far distances? If we're setting up a raid and have to stay in constant communications with each other, will we be able to have like radio equipment or whatnot, or is there just like a private in-game lobby thing where you talk to only the members of your team, or do you have to stay in a party chat on PlayStation just to continue moving with that,
Yeah, but going off with the communication, we could see if you could say hijack enemy communications, get forward intel, knowing where they're going to be,
I'd like proximity chat to be put in it, like similar to DayZ.
Oh, you mean where you can only hear each other from like a certain amount away?
Distance, so like,
Yeah.
you come across someone and, hey, what the fuck are you doing in my area? Oh, I'm sorry. Bang, 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 they're dead, steal resources. That type of shit.
Yeah. I can imagine that's going to happen a lot in the early days, because the idea of, like, I used to play DayZ on a friend's computer, and bean hunting was probably the scariest thing I ever experienced while playing DayZ, where you have these really good players hunting down fresh spawns and stealing your cans of beans. It's just like the whole concept is like, they have such good equipment, but they can't find that much food, so they have to hunt us down to get like, what, maybe like 10 cans of beans, and they'll be happy with themselves. But that's the idea there. Like, you can have like, I can imagine you will be angry at this game at other players, but that adds into your immersion or your realism or just how you want to play the game, because you're going to get angry in this game, because this game doesn't really talk about its death system. I can imagine if you die, you respawn back in your basic gear or something like that, or different gear completely. I hope it's kind of like randomly generated gear, so to speak.
Yeah.
So like with DayZ, the aspect of DayZ, or it could be like the State of Decay game that's on the Xbox at the moment, where you have a permadeath. So once you made that character, they're gone forever. And thus you have to make a new character with a new set of skills, or the same set of skills, but you lose the skills that you've earned as well, giving it the whole sense of like let's say like my character Craig Winters is dead, and I had like great rifle skills and or architectural skills that are very high, and I could build like really good defenses, or like really strong stuff, the kind of thing, what I mean, like from a wooden wall to a concrete wall to like a steel sheeting wall or something like that. How would that think will play on factions? Like, let's say you have a really good marksman and he's down, he's dead, and you can't revive him, and he has to come back in as a base player again and learn all those skills again. That's a real turning point for a faction. It's like casualties actually matter at that point.
Yeah, I think that's where your medics and your certain skill sets are gonna come into place. Like you say, if there is a permadeath feature, then once you're down, you're down. But if there is medics, I presume there ain't gonna be a instant permadeath. If you die, you might be able to have a revive system, something like that.
Yeah.
I'm just hoping with the leveling up system that there is some sort of factional ability to it, if that makes sense.
So like kind of a faction bonus or something like that.
Yeah. So obviously, as the game becomes established, I'm hoping that they introduce factions. So I don't know, in this post-apocalyptic society, the remnants of the US military police and survivalists, or like a religious order, or I don't know. Let's freaking let's go mad and say I don't know, like freaking raiders. You know, people who've just gone mental and decided to do it, and you've got some type of bonus to the leveling system that comes from playing that specific faction. So say the military guys have got better shooting and construction perks. The raiders have got better close combat perks,
Melee
etc.,
weapon perks and stuff like that,
Yeah.
But regarding going off on that, as I've been looking at like the pre-story system that they added into this game, so let's say I'll bring up an example right now, which is the where is it? The skills. For example, like let's say your skills improve over time. That if you keep using that skill, it will get better. So if you're constantly building something, so they'll improve. But then you have something that's like in a lower tier to that, and then you have a higher tier version of that. So how do you actually increase that? Do you like reinforce this kind of like this? Let's say we made a sheet wall around a base, and then I had the ability to make it into concrete. Would there be a chance to upgrade that into a better kind of wall, like let's say like a sheet metal wall, and then it turns into like a girder wall, or like then to a concrete wall where you have like it's tougher, so it won't be knocked down as quickly as it would have been like a wooden wall or a sheet metal one. As I said there with the raiders, like some players will prefer melee weapons because, well, A, you don't need to reload a melee weapon, and B, you can just resharpen it and repair it quickly. But when it comes to like how we're going to be surviving in this world, I can imagine ammunition is going to be scarce until you have someone who has a skill that's able to like make ammunition. So finding like the necessary resources like scrap, like spent copper or something like that, and then steel or iron to make like the bullet tips, and then gunpowder as well, until you actually have your own way of like being self-sufficient in this new world. Because there's not going to be a store, there's not going to be a 7-Eleven down the street where you can get like a packet of crisps or a Pepsi anymore. There's going to be probably a 7-Eleven or a petrol station, and that's going to be like Mel's treasure if they catch you.
Whereas if you're not
Regarding that, I just
Oh
want to
no. Yeah, you chip in, mate. Chip in.
regarding like social hubs, as far as I've been reading, that like I've been reading a lot on their Twitter and their Facebook, that they recently updated the alpha with a like bars and small outposts where you can actually go and meet other actual players. So I'm kind of wondering what's the kind of rule, the the rule of the land there. Do your guns automatically be put away so you can't kill each other? Are these kind of like safe zones? But with that fact it is as well, that we did talk about, like you can harm another NPC and it will affect your world. So you could actually literally try to raid these places, depending on how well defended and how well supplied they are. You could possibly take over these trading hubs, and you could either kill off the entire like NPC population or kind of like recruit them into your faction. So you have a basically a social hub, and there is somewhat of a in-game currency as well. I don't know what that is. It's not like we're going to be passing out $50 notes to them, but it may depend on, like, let's say Metro, where you would have to use bullets, like pristine military grade bullets, to as currency, but you can also use it as ammunition. But I don't think they go into that extent. I think it's like, what's the most valuable thing during the wasteland, like during an apocalypse like this, like simple things like bags of salt or medicine or food or fresh food or like preservable food as well, are probably worth like your weight in gold in this. And if you can make an economy off that, trading the players or trading them into NPCs, that would be lucrative as well. But also paints a big target mark on your back. So you're gonna be targeted by other groups who are jealous or want your shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but you could see say if there's convoys, supply convoys that you could sneakily take out, or set up roadblocks and take over and create your own convoy and supply routes. Have patrolmen going along them, protecting them all the way.
True. Like we don't know if there's actually vehicles in this game yet, but it's 39 square kilometers, so I can imagine there's not a lot of vehicles in this game.
Yeah, I'm hoping with the vehicles that it's not just ground-based vehicles, because I know DayZ they slowly started adding air vehicles in there, slowly but slowly. I mean, I'm not talking like a jet or anything like that, but maybe a Huey helicopter or a transport aircraft.
Regarding like vehicles there, like I can imagine since we're kind of like in what kind of area would you think would be in like a Pacific state or like Colorado or something like that with like all the large trees that we're seeing in the trailer?
Yeah, from the looks of it, it's like a forest, Colorado type.
Yeah, I mean, I'm no expert on what all of America looks like, but I've been around America quite a lot, and it kind of looks like Pacific Northwest maybe, so Northern California, Oregon, Washington state area.
So given that like you as you said earlier on in the video, like the idea that there's like like the like previous like military police, like the idea that like America's a big place, so they have a large national guard. I think like the largest in the world. No,
Yeah,
probably not. No, they have the largest like national guard in the world.
It's big.
It's big.
It's not North Korean.
It's not North Korea. It's America has a large national guard and a permanent army as well. So there's going to be a mix of each of them in there. So let's say troops have been called back from overseas to help out with the crisis in America, but then there's a lot of them left around the wastes. Like they're the perfect survivalists, basically. Like they're like if they're like so let's say hypothetically, like let's say you have a character preset story that's a soldier, but added bonus perk is that he was a special operator at one point, so he's the perfect survivalist to the world. But with the given that there's not many of them left around, because like let's say, for example, I choose a pre-story. I'm a chemist, so I'm able to craft different types of med packs and stims. Or if I select architect, I'm able to my list of available constructions will be increased with more building types, and while characters without this perk are only able to craft camping elements. So, given that we live in a very forest area, it's most likely a lot of the populace is still alive, and probably a lot of different survivors who are called, like different people who are called into the area to help, are now stuck here, and so on and so forth. At most with that, like regarding like what does a soldier need? Let's say a soldier class or pre-story is like you're good at shooting, hunting, whatever really. Then you're an architect, so you're not good at shooting and hunting and whatnot, but you're good at building and probably, be able to build this place up really well.
Yeah, one thing I'd like to chip into that is with the, even if you don't want to play as, say, like the soldier class, any skill that you've got that you choose from your backstory can add it. I mean, you don't have to go around scurrying around after the fight, picking up the scraps if that's how you want to play. Yeah,
Like,
bits and bobs.
we're given every character game that gives you the chance of like, oh, I was like a soldier, but I'm pretty good at scavenging and surviving, so you can literally be like a walking trade
Yeah.
away stuff for different things that you need. And always have a constant supply. So like having a only you will know where it is, depending on what kind of stuff you can craft. Given that you're a soldier, that like I can imagine a soldier at this or landmines or whatnot, or collect landmines, and you can set up traps and have only a route into your little like hidey hole full of precious loot, and then if someone's coming towards you, you'll hear a big explosion, or you'll hear people with the idea of like proximity chat as well.
Yeah, well, going off that, it'll be interesting to see what different weapons there are going to be. Is there going to be loads of different melee weapons you can just pick off the ground. Say, you know, pick up a rock and smash it off the back of someone's head, or you know, you find an old hidden armory or something like that with, you know, heavy machine guns, things like that.
From what I've seen mostly in the game, that like you can actually get your hands on a Scar H or an M4. And for melee weapons, I've seen a few people like, on their backpack. Basically, there's like an axe. So the idea that you need to set up a fire, like a campfire, you're gonna have to cut down a tree or cut up a log, and then you know and collect rocks and then build your campfire, which is a very really cool and like interesting there. But the possibility of people seeing the smoke in the distance or the fire in the night, they're gonna come towards you. Like they're gonna be attracted to the light like moths, basically.
Yeah, and with that, with the possibility of traps, you know, luring people into somewhere they think there's going to be, you know, a nice bounty for them to pick up, and you just, you know, pop them down.
Hmm. To add into the idea of, you know, like you said, what kind of weapons there would be, I've only seen 2 in game, which is well 3 technically, because I've seen a pistol on a holster, a leg holster. It either looks
Yeah.
like a 45, or the kind of handle looks a bit different as well. As I think about it, it looks a bit like a 45 or probably a Magnum revolver. We are in the stick, so a Magnum is more common than a 45, I can imagine. But the idea of this is that the team Farom Studios were designing this game, and they did like a kind of a Indiegogo campaign to try raise up money. But when you put in a certain amount, you like it goes from like, let's say, $5 all the way up to $1,000, and each pack will give you an interesting DLC when the full game comes out afterwards. But you also get access to it while you're in the alpha. So at most, let's say for $30, you can actually get your hands on a sniper pack, which includes 4 weapons, including a sniper rifle, which will be available on the first login to each server. So that's really cool. So there's different servers, and you'll have these weapons when you come in. But that's kind of like the pay to win go. But I can understand them for doing this for the people who actually donated money and tried to back this game, which was excellent, to be honest. Looking through the list right now, I can tell you right now, there's shotguns, there's assault rifles, there's the machine gun as well. So there's a heavy pack, including a heavy machine gun possibly, or an LMG. There's a sniper rifle, as I said before. Most likely different types of pistols and whatnot. So it's a game that's coming like really well. It's being developed quite well, and like it's an indie company that's doing it, I believe, from Ukraine, and they're doing an excellent job. To be honest, what I've seen so far, they're doing an excellent job.
Yeah, well, it's like I say, depending on how popular it is, there is that chance that they will introduce like microtransactions, and you can, you know, buy more currency with real money, or more weapons and ammo, armor, things like that. But I guess only time will tell for that one.
I'm just hoping that their scope and ambition with this game does match.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. Regarding like how we remember how we talked about like we talked about the roles. How many roles do you think this game has? Like, because we've seen soldier, we've seen pre-chemist, we've seen like there's probably doctors or nurses or, you know, policemen or, you know, National Guardsmen. What role would you think, like right now, from all the members of Task Force 21? Unfortunately, we're going to have to speak for Aaron and Ian. What roles would you think we'd see for them, and us as well included? So
Ian would be a diplomat because he has a nice
Yeah,
voice.
I was going to say possibly a diplomat role.
the
He has a
diplomat.
nice voice.
He has a nice voice indeed.
With his suit and tie.
The suit and tie and AK-47 over his back.
In a briefcase.
And a briefcase. But in all seriousness though, like for like what I could see from Callum, like Callum, you're already one of the members of our group who's an active military personnel.
Yes, I am.
It's most likely, I don't want to presume, but it's most likely you are going to select being a soldier, I presume.
Craig, how did you know?
How did I know? Me and Barchy are both builders, so one of us will probably, in the early stages, probably one of us will be a builder.
Yeah.
We'll fight over that when it comes to it, but but the idea like that, we'll be able to, you know, join up with other groups, and then they'll have different things. But like that out of the way right now, for us, like what kind of role would you see me play when I'm not well, excluding the soldier and architect? Like think of something right off the back of your head.
Hmm. I wonder if there's within the classes there's subclasses or subcategories.
As far as I know,
They
it gives
haven't
you.
said that yet.
Well, as far as I've been reading, and this is my speculation as well, adding into it, like you'll major in these skills, and then there's minor skills. So over time, you'll learn how to
Okay.
shoot properly, and like
Yeah,
stuff like
because
that. And then
I was gonna say like maybe if when you chose like the diplomat uh, sort of background, you could be like you could have worked for the mayor, or you could have been I don't know, like a journalist, so you've got better speaking. So I definitely say yeah, Craig, you're gonna have to work with Ian in the embassy of Task Force 21
the Embassy of
and
Task Force 21.
yeah, I'll have a flag and everything.
Like that, like I'll add into my own like my kind of hopes for this game as well. Now, since we've been talking about the structure of the game, let's talk about what we would actually want to see in the game. So, any you want to go first, or shall I?
Yeah, you
Yeah,
go first.
you,
Mate.
What I hope from this game is that we like it, given that it has a set amount of resources or whatever, or if they're respawning or something like that. I wouldn't mind respawning resources, but I'd also find it hilarious if there was like a hardcore server that you can set it to where no respawns, like no resources respawn. So once you clear out an area, that's never going to respawn again. So you have to keep being on the move till the world is entirely dry of resources, till you have to kill each other and eat each other. But that's the amazing thing there. Like certain games do add in cannibalism, which is hilarious, I think, because that makes sense. Like,
yeah,
if you can't find food, but if you find it an animal corpse or a person's corpse, I can imagine a lot of survivalists will think, oh, that was a great addition to it. But there's also going to be like pluses to it, like you're fed, you're full, but you're going to have negative stuff to as well, because the world would see what you are. Let's say another player saw what you were doing, like leading people in the forest, killing them and eating them. The word will spread around about you being a cannibal and don't trust him. So you're pretty much like a little monster in the hills, just trapping people every now and again to get his fill on dead people. You know, it's so weird.
yeah,
I
people
want to
coming
see the
after you with
weirdness of
pitchforks.
survival. What about you,
My
Barchy
my
or
hopes.
Callum? Apologies. You go, Callum.
All right, my hopes and ambitions for this game is that um, they have a really good loot system.
How so? What
That's
do you mean?
one. Like Daisy has a very realistic loot system after they've added stuff in. A lot of like real world weapons and then attachments and then like military equipment, clothing options, healthcare. You had boot. Like depending on what you wore. So say if you were carrying a small civilian rucksack, you could only carry a certain amount of items. And say if you were carrying like a military style day sack and like plate carrier with pouches, you could carry a hell of a lot more stuff. Or if you were a survivalist in the woods and you were carrying like a great big civilian Bergen rucksack,
Hmm.
you could stock that up with enough to keep you going until you need to leave the woods again.
Yeah, that would be pretty good.
Yeah, yeah,
Regarding like,
like,
Oh yeah, and just to add into that, but like space in the vehicles for storing stuff as well would be pretty cool.
yeah, if there is
yeah,
vehicles.
Yeah, if there is vehicles.
yeah, yeah. Well, for me personally, I'd like to see, well, as Craig says, depending if there is a permadeath feature or if you do respawn, like your skill progression and your character progression, what certain skills you can unlock, and what you have to do to actually, unlock them skills. Do you have to cooperate with people, or just scavenge and things like that?
Hmm. I think regarding in that sense, like the more you use a skill, the better it gets. So like, let's say you're a really bad shot at the beginning, but over time, when you're just taking your time and learning how to shoot or going hunting before you start attacking people, you like, let's say your steady aim starts to kick in, so you're not like moving left and right or not breathing properly when you take the shot. Then slowly but surely, like you'll take out like a breath before you take your shot as well, and then like the scope will stay in steady, or the iron sights won't move around too much, and you have the idea of how to control recoil and whatnot, instead of like, if someone who'd never picked up a gun in their life picked up like, let's say, an assault rifle and fired it, they're not going to know the recoil. They're going to go like, the gun's going to go barrel up as they're firing. But let's say after time about using that, like it also not just like skills, it also it depends on what kind of like physical body you have. Let's say you're not too well built up, you can't hold the recoil, but over time, after running and scavenging and like you know, basically doing all your wasteland stuff, your survival stuff and wasteland things, you generally get stronger as well. So I kind of hope to see that kind of like aspect into it.
Yeah, well, and going off that, possibly, you know, your weapon upgrades. Can you pick up old weapons, take parts off them, you know, add them to your current weapons, things like that.
Yeah, I'd also like to see degradation of equipment over time.
Yeah, yeah. Like I don't imagine like, well, I'll pick a bad example of degradation of equipment over time. It was Far Cry 2.
Oh yeah,
After like
Jesus.
3 magazines, an AK-47 will explode in your hands. Like no, like that gun is
Yeah.
literally made to last. I laughed so hard when I saw that, and I loved how the degradation would happen after you're doing like a full automatic fire or short burst. It slowly starts to rust in your hand, and that annoyed me. I was just like, and like that was one of the things that annoyed me. Having constant malaria passouts was probably the biggest annoyance of that game.
Yeah,
But
it's like, yeah, hey, Far Cry team, have you ever fired an AK-47?
I know, but I can imagine in their sense they're adding in the idea of like you'll find better equipment that breaks over time, or better
Yeah,
equipment
I
that
mean,
doesn't break at all. You know?
yeah, yeah, I can find that. Like, say you can find, I don't know, say you've come across an overrun military checkpoint and there's a load of dead corpses on the floor, and you find an AK-47, not an AK-47, but an M4 or something that's been exposed to the elements for quite a while. You know, it is going to give up the ghost after a while. Or maybe you know, you find a gun store and the only thing you can find in there is some like weapon lubricant. Oh, it adds a few stats to the reliability of your weapon. That'd be pretty cool.
I can imagine like going back to old Fallout games, like not Fallout 1 or 2, mainly Fallout 3, where the core mechanic was that weapons degrade over time. Because you're holding a weapon that's about 200 years old, it shouldn't be able to, you know, stay in great shape, depending on what kind of stuff they put in there. Like America was like putting a lot of preservatives in anything, so they must have put a magical preservative in guns when it came to Fallout 4. But regarding that now, like the idea of a weapon having a health bar is not my thing, but I kind of want to know if the gun's gonna jam. Like at the beginning, the gun's fine. You have it repaired, it's all good, and then over time, using the same weapon, you'll have the occasional jam. So you have to like manually unload the shit, like the shell that's jammed, and then
Yeah.
over a while, the gun won't fire anymore because it's just like clogged with dirt. Or it's just generally on wit's end, about to break. So then you have to find like either like weapon repair kits or use like raw resources and craft them into what you need to repair the weapon, and gives you a certain like amount of reliability back to your weapon.
Another feature I'd quite like to see is, how can I put it, choosing your clothing appropriately.
Choosing your
Yeah.
What would you mean by that?
So say they add in like climactic conditions. In the
So change
future.
the season kind of stuff.
Change of season, stuff like that. I mean, you can wear the big, heavy winter coat, but as soon as you get into a fight, your maneuverability is restricted, or you can't run as far. As opposed to if you're running naked through the snow in your pants,
And then
you
you
like the
die of
Bruce Lee death guy.
hypothermia.
Yeah, you mean you'd get away quick, but you'd die. You'd die.
Actually, to go off on that like sense right there, I'm looking at something right now. I'm just going through the trailer real quickly because I remember seeing the character walk around, and there's like 3 little bars right now next to it. There's a health bar, there's a water, there's a dehydration bar, and there's a stomach bar, there's a food bar. So the idea that we have to stay well fed and rehydrated is important, and then we have a general health as well. There's also a weapon bar as well. It's just one moment, please. I'll find that now in a second in the video. But let's see. Let's see. Like there's an outline of a Scar H, or I think it's Scar H or a Scar something anyway. It looks like a Scar.
Big O
And
fans, RTC exclusive right there.
what do you mean?
You've just told people what the first weapon is in the game.
Well, you know,
Or
it's
one of the weapons.
I've actually talked about 3 of the weapons already, so it's not a spoiler anymore. All right, warning, spoilers. I'm sorry, but we got to the end of the video, warning, spoilers. But anyway, regarding that, like, there's an outline that tells you how much ammunition you have or whatnot. But in the sense of it, that it's an outline, basically, of the weapon. So you have the basic white outline, and then everything else is normal, like on the inside of it. Maybe certain areas will flash, like let's say your buttstock is breaking or something like that, or damaged. It'll come up like a red mark on it, or like the magazine is starting to like be overused too much or something like that. That would be great to see. I also would love to have a non-HUD version, because we do this game, we do Ghost Recon with no HUD all the time and on extreme difficulty. And having no HUD, so we actually have to manually remember how many clips we have, like count our shots, because we're not going to be like going full automatic like we usually do. We're going to be on single fire or at best burst fire. And,
or running away.
Or running away, or sneaking away.
Because sometimes you might come across a faction who's, you know, been in the game a bit longer or been luckier than you, and they could be armed to the teeth. So you better peg it.
Yeah, we better peg it like until we can find out what their weakness is.
Yeah.
But regarding that, if we were if we were in their game long enough, I can imagine we'd probably be a well sorted out group, and then in 5 minutes we'd be annihilated by a team of Bambis.
Yeah, sort of law.
Yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much it. The game is interesting. It's a great team to it as well, and it's what a lot of PS4 players and Xbox One players have been looking for. Like, we do have Ark Survival, we do have 7 Days to Die, we have Minecraft. I'm putting that in there because it actually has a survival mode in it. I don't like Minecraft, but it counts.
It has
and then
a co-op feature as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, it has a co-op feature as well, and you can build your own servers and And then, like, you think about it, it's like there's not many people playing them. There probably is a lot more playing them, to be honest. But like, when you go into a new world, you're going to be like speared to death in Ark Survival. I've had many occasions where I run up to people with like, "Hey, how are you?" and they try to spear me to death with like a spear or like a crossbow or something like that. Or I've actually been hunted down by a group of guys wearing full military gear and like assault rifles on backs of like velociraptors, and that was terrifying.
that sounds like one of my nightmares.
It was my nightmare for a while. They hunted me down for maybe about half an hour. But with the idea of that is, you're just imagine me running away from like velociraptors with guys on M4s.
Three velociraptors chasing me.
Anyone watching this video, if you're good at art, please draw that. I would love to see that drawn. But anyway, but regarding that, like, what, like, it just, I want to have a lot of hope for this game because we don't have any games like this for the moment, and like, with its like projections that we read on the site on the Indiegogo site as well. I'll just say I'll see where they are right now. 1 second. The summary projections. Like, the planned platforms on this are PC and Xbox, and then Xbox One, PS4, Mac, and Linux, while the other ones are, and its release date is the second quarter of 2017 will be on PC, Mac, and Linux, and the fourth quarter will be around 2017 Xbox One and PS4. So console players won't see this game till winter, basically. I think that is the fourth quarter is winter, isn't it?
Yeah.
Christmas time. So it'll be a great Christmas present for everyone in Task Force 21. But but I really want to have a lot of hope when it comes to this game because I can't wait for it to come out. Like, this is probably one of our biggest games we'll have a chance to play.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait.
Yeah. So guys, regarding that right now, that's our spiel on this game that's coming out it's to be announced in 2017 or to be whatever. But it's been projected to be at the fourth quarter for consoles, TBC, and shut up, you Barchy. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed this episode talking about this new game, and I hope you look forward to the game as much as we do. Because apart from playing like a private server thing where we'll have probably an immersion kind of thing for that, we will be playing public lobbies as well, and you have a higher chance of running into us while we play, which would be awesome. And
getting shot by us.
And being shot by us, or you ganging up on all five of us, and like there's about 30 people hunting us down on the map.
No mercy.
No mercy. No mercy. No, well, there'll be a little bit of mercy since I'm going to be a diplomat alongside of Ian, because I have a lovely voice, I presume. But I think regarding that, I think Callum should be the diplomat because he has a very nice English accent. It's been bred over generations to think you can trust them.
I have an awful negotiating skill. You know what? Honest to God, Listen to me, I'm a bumbling Englishman. I can barely string a coherent sentence together, for fuck's sake.
Okay. Well, anyway,
But
guys.
maybe my accent will just put people at ease.
Yeah.
Hello.
Your accent does put people at ease. Like I said, as I said previously, it's been bred over generations to think people that you can trust you. So.
And then we come and fuck you up.
But anyway, no, we probably won't be bad guys. I don't think. We'll see what happens. Depends on how badly
Unless
we
you
want to
cross
survive.
me.
Unless you cross
You
Callum,
cross
then
me.
thus we'll let you go in our gladiator ring and fight him with a spoon. But
Step into the Scorpion Arena. I will fuck you up.
But anyway, guys, I really hope you enjoyed today's video. It's mainly us just doing some free balling about like what this game's going to be about and talking about what we know about it so far. It's a bit of a different one. I hope you guys enjoyed it. As always, as your host, I've been your host as always, Craig, and along with me we're two members of Task Force 21.
Wagwan.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching. And we'll see you next time on RTC. See you guys. Have a good one.
Later.
Laters.